Good morning. Can people hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. All right, folks, it's 9:30. We'll get started. So I just wanted to remind you that 9:13, that's Sunday. Sunday test 1 homework will be due. That's Sunday at 11:59 p.m. You okay, Kalani?
Oh, yes.
Could you please mute? Thanks. Somebody else is. No, good. All right. So 9:13, that's Sunday. Test 1 homework will be due. 9:14, test 1 will be due. But there's nothing to stop you taking test 1 earlier. In fact, I haven't even checked. Some people might have already taken it. I don't know. But you don't have to take it on 9:14. I would recommend taking it before I'd recommend doing all the homework, or as much homework as I could possibly do. Then I would take the test and see if if you want to take any extra attempts on the homework or whatever to see if you can raise your grade. Anyway, it's a thought. But you don't have to wait until 9:14 to take the test. There will be no class on that day. I'll say that again. There will be no class on 9:14. Right, because test 1 will be due at that point. Okay, so I'm expecting you'll be using the time to take the test, possibly, or not, or you can sleep in if you've already taken it. Another good reason to take it. Anybody got any questions?
Nope.
So everybody's clear on this, huh?
How do we find the test? Because I tried finding it in my courses and it wasn't there.
It wasn't there? Gone?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's terrible. I better check. Has anybody taken it, just out of curiosity?
I think you have to get a certain score to unlock it.
Really? Well, I hope that's not true. That would be, I've got to see this. All right. This is a bit of a disaster. Let's have a look. Test 1. Let's go back to test 1. Okay. Should be in the module 1 to 6 test folder. Hang on. Let me get
Oh,
it.
it is.
Oh, what do you know? There it is. Doesn't look like it's, I don't see any real difficulties with accessing it. Ali, do you see it? It's in the test, it's in the module 1 to 6 test folder. Ali?
Hold on, I'm looking right now.
Okay. Anybody can't see it? It's called Test 1 T1. It's in the Test 1 folder in the Module 1 to 6 subfolder. Module 1 to 6 Test subfolder.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, good. Good.
I did have a quick question about the hard lock. So like the hard lock, that's just you do the instruction and they'll tell you scan your ID and then scan the room and everything like that.
Yeah. Now, if you want to preview for what it looks like, take the on a lock practice test, which is here. Do you see it? It's in the table of contents.
Gotcha.
Take that, and that you'll get a really good overview of exactly what you need to do, how to access the calculator, and all of that. Right. So I think it's well worth taking the on a lock practice test just to get yourself oriented.
And you said it was, is it okay if we had like, so I printed out like the polyatomic sheet and
No,
so
no,
don't use that. Okay.
no, because they'll all be embedded in the test.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
Too easy.
Just like everything is set up. Now, I know you don't believe me. I know this. I know this. I know this. I'm not talking about you, just you, Roland, but everybody in this room, or most people, they don't believe me. They say, oh, no, he's done something different for this test. It's something different. It's exactly the same as the sample module 1 to 6 test. This one. It's exactly the same as that. It's exactly the same. You don't believe me, I know, but it is. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Just about accessing the test or anything else? Now, here's the other thing. Now there's an extra credit opportunity that you get as well, and you have to get 80% on sample module 1 to 6 test, and then that'll open up another quiz that'll allow you to get 5 points extra credit. Imagine that. Actually getting extra credit for something you should be doing anyway. I tell you what,
Okay.
I'll tell you, let me give you a little history here. A little history. It turns out that in the past, I've had about half the class do it. Half the class. There is a slight catch to it. You'll notice that the extra credit quiz, which you won't see, by the way, until you get 80%, closes on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So the extra credit opportunity will close at that time. Sometimes that's where people run afoul of it. They just do it on the day of the test, and they say, oh, well, I didn't get my extra credit. Well, just because it closed. But it's all in the syllabus too. So, I don't want to hear complaints of, I didn't get a chance to do the extra credit. You had plenty of chances. Has anybody gotten the extra credit yet on that? Anybody? No, nobody? Nobody's got the extra credit on?
Working on that this week.
Oh, okay. Well. Yeah. Mm.
It's a good study tool. You could just take the test over and over again.
Roland, you're kidding me. That's a fantastic idea. Wow. Oh, yes.
Kicked on me.
Oh, it's almost like that's the way I planned it.
I know, right?
Yeah. Crazy. Well, it doesn't get much easier than that. Come on. All right. Anybody got any other questions about the test, taking the test or anything else? All right. Let me give you all a tip here. Make sure, well, if you do the practice test, you'll figure this out pretty quick. You shouldn't be being asked for a password. If you're being asked for a password to take the test, you're probably not in Chrome. That's probably the reason. So you have to be in Chrome when you're taking the test. If you are in Chrome and you're still getting that as an issue, then you'll need to chat with Unlock. And there's a chat button in the test that you'll be able to hit, and somebody will be with you to walk you through it if necessary. But generally speaking, it never fails. I always get somebody sending me an email saying, "Oh, I need a password to take this test." No, you don't. You need to be in Chrome to take the test. All right, is everybody clear on this? Let me see how many people I've got here. I'm not even sure how many people I have. 20. All right, fair enough. All right. Okay, I'm a little bit concerned. Look, I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I want to look at the grades and see who's taken this extra credit. So give me a second. I won't be long. I won't be long, I promise. There we go. Let's have a look. Enter grades. Oh, yeah. Well, no, one person's taken it. That's good. All right. Okay. So there's one lonely soul. One lonely soul has taken it. That's great. Something. Okay. Back to sharing. Okay. We're back. So today what I want to do is focus on the sample module 1 to 6 test, which is exactly the same as the test you'll be taking, by the way. Exactly the same. And, you know, as Roland pointed out, you know, as a fantastic suggestion, by the way, Roland, you could take the test over and over to practice. Yeah. Yeah. And if you get 80%, and that's open book. You can take, you know, you don't have to take a closed book, but I do recommend taking it closed book a couple of times because those are the conditions under which you'll be taking it. All right, let's take a look. Take a look at the test here. Now I'm going to go from the end backwards. Now take a look. See this Unlock calculator link? I've only got this in here so you can practice with it. That's not how it looks on the real test. On the real test, there's an actual button embedded inside the test. It doesn't open in a new tab, I don't think. I think it opens, well, I can't remember how it opens, but it opens in such a way. I think it opens in a new window, actually. And if you take the Unlock practice test, you'll see that. Now, what I recommend you do to practice for this is to open this in a new window. So there's your Unlock calculator there, and then put it off to the side, and then be doing the quiz and be using the calculator off to the side here. That's how I would practice if I was you. So as you can see, all this stuff here is the same stuff as what you'll have in the test: the periodic table, the list of names. Now, if you're having trouble seeing that, it depends on what computer you're on. If you're on a PC, then Control plus, Control minus allows you to enlarge and decrease the size of things on the screen. And if you're on a Mac, Command plus or Command minus will do the same thing. Anybody got any questions so far? So as you can see, everything, it's the same thing, you know. Let me see if there might be one other thing I want to show you here. I don't know. I'm going to exit this for a second. I want to see if I've got this. I think I did. I think I did do this. I hope I did. Oh, look at this. Study guide for modules 1 to 6 test. Well, let's see what's in here. Oh, what do you know? It's all the question types that you can expect to see. Look at that. Look at that. Now, the reason I include this is because for something like questions 3 to 4, you can see that there's a range of different questions that could come from. So obviously, you want to take the test often enough to make sure you see all these different kinds of questions. Wow, it's almost like I'm being transparent, actually telling you what's on here. Look, nobody can come back at me and say, oh, Dr. Musgrave, this was all a big surprise. I didn't know what was going to be on the test. Now, how often can you say that? You know, how many times have you walked into a test in another class and been surprised by it? I tell you what, if somebody says, oh, look, I was surprised by it, I don't know. I'm not seeing it. I do have this reference sheets thing here, but that's not really necessary because they're all embedded inside the test. All right, let's have a look. So yeah, going back to the end. I'm going to start from the end and work my way back because we didn't get a chance to really go over these questions as we saw them in Module 6. So that's what I really want to focus on today. All right, let's take a look. We'll start with questions 32 through 34, which have to do with decompositions, which we talked about last Wednesday, I believe. All right, so we've got XOH6 plus heat. Let me shrink this a little bit here. There we go. Help if I had my screen on. Okay. The product of this is going to be some sort of oxide plus water. Let me put you all down here. And the X doesn't really matter. I mean, it doesn't matter what the X is. It's just something that's got a charge on it. And you can see if it's OH, then OH is a negative charge, which means X has to have a 6 plus charge. And O has a -2 charge, which means that the compound we're dealing with is XO3 plus H2O. Now, let's see what we're looking for here. Oh, we're looking for the sum of the coefficients. Well, that means we have to balance this. And we've got, let's see, we've got 6 hydrogens here, but only 2 over here. If I put a 3 in front of here, then we're going to have 3 plus 3 oxygens, so we'd have 6, and that would be balanced. And the sum of coefficients then would be 5. Does anybody have any questions about 32? Usually this kind of question annoys people. It's one that people tend to blow off on the test for some reason. I'm not sure why.
So we don't have to add oxygen because everything's included right there.
Yeah,
Like
that's right. It's a decomposition process. Yeah, see?
So you should be able to do this in a vacuum and it'd be the same process.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, what is the formula of the metal oxide from this reaction? So it's XCO3, 3, whoops, yeah, plus heat. But we don't, well, don't need to worry about it, but. And we get, again, an oxide plus CO2 as the product. Now, in this case, we're interested just in the oxide. Now, we know that CO3 has a -2 charge. So, again, X must be 6 plus. O is 2 minus, and our oxide must be XO3. And that would be the answer you'd choose for that. Does anybody have any questions? And the last one, what's the formula of the metal oxide from this reaction? All right, let's take this. XOH5 plus heat. We'd have, again, XO as our product, and water is another product. We're only interested in the oxide formula here. X is 5 plus because OH has a -1 charge. O is -2, so our formula must be X2O5. And again, to get that, all you're doing is saying, well, how many of each do I need to make that balance out? All right. Does anybody have any questions about 32 through 34?
So, could you explain the process just one more time for 34?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's a hydroxide, so the products are always going to be an oxide of X, which means a compound of O, and water. Now, O always has a -2 charge. We need to find out the charge on X, and we do that by saying, well, OH has a -1 charge. There's 5 of them. So there must be a total charge of -5. The picture would look like this. Which makes that +5, which makes that +5.
Okay, I get it.
All right, this is how you'll do all of them. Now the CO3 is a little bit more, well, it's not difficult, it's just different because it's got a -2 charge. But you know this because it's in the polyatomic ion sheet, which you'll have, it's in the test. You don't have to remember that. Let me show you. See if I can find the there he is. There's a polyatomic ion sheet right there. And you'll see CO3 is right here, carbonate. In fact, I even think I say something about, yeah, no, just they don't call it a carbonate. But anyway, you can figure it out from there. Does anybody have any questions at all about 32 to 34? Tell you, these questions are usually the worst ones on the test for people. I don't know why, but they are. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the single displacement. We did go through these as well, and the formatting of the problem, whoops. Just trying to get this scrolled right. There we go. And the formatting problem looks like this. You just need to follow the directions in each of these. So it would be answer yes or no for the reaction. And what we're talking about is looking at the observation. Now, if there's nothing there, it says no changes or no change or something, then you would write no for the reaction. But if there was anything there like bubbling or changing color of the solid or changing color of the liquid, anything like that, then you would say there was a reaction. Is everybody okay with that? Anybody have any questions? Answer with the symbol of the neutral element. Well, if you look here, you've got gold, which is solid, doesn't have a charge on it. The potassium, because it's with nitrate, would have a charge. That would be the cation. So the symbol of the neutral element would be Au in this case. The symbol and charge of the cation, well, it'll be K, but it'll be K plus specifically. So that'll be for 1, 2, and 3. Is everybody okay so far? Okay, question 4 is asking which one's more active and less active. Now, which one's more active is going to depend upon whether there was a reaction or not. If there is no reaction, it means that the cation element is more active. If there is a reaction, it would mean the neutral one was more active. In this case, there was no change, so the K must be more active. So K would go in here, and then the Au would go in here as the less active. And you can see it's just a matter of choosing whichever one of those matches.
So you have to put the plus for the cat ion, and then like when it's more active, less active, it's just going to be the symbol.
Oh, actually, you don't have to put anything because it's multiple choice. Do you see?
Oh, that's fair.
So that makes it a bit easier. There's no formatting to worry about. You just need to be sure of what you're doing.
Fair. Okay.
All right. You'll notice though, every single combination is accounted for here. All right. Any other questions? Gosh, I wonder how I might get used to doing that. Anybody got any suggestions on because that's a little bit complicated. It'd be really nice to not to have to sort of see that on the test and be that the first time you've seen it. Anybody got any ideas about what they could do about it? Any thoughts?
Take the bonus or the practice test.
Yeah, but well, actually, yeah, I'm good. But I'm going. Yes, that's true. But I'm going to say, just for this specific question, you could just do this question again and again and again, and just submit until you're getting it right. You don't have to take the whole test. You can just submit it and see if you got it right, because the answers come up at the end. So if you're getting it right on a continuous basis, after lots of attempts, I think you probably got the idea behind it. You know, the thing is that this test is not the enemy. What's the enemy, folks? Tell me what the enemy is. And it's not me, actually. Tell me what the enemy is.
Procrastination.
Ourselves.
Time. That's right. Procrastination and time. That is time is the enemy. How much time are you willing to do? How much time are you willing to put into taking this test, this sample test? How many times you're willing to do it? That's the only determining factor, because it's not the material. The material is not that hard. It's getting used to the setup of the questions and understanding what you need to do. And if you can understand how to do each question, I don't see how you can fail. It's the whole point. I mean, gosh, it's like a gift. God. All right. So question 30. So we're looking for the ions here, but we're looking for single ions. So you'll notice it's, there you go, a lot of answers there. So you've got to be making sure that you do understand what you're doing here as well. Okay. Now what it's looking for is the ions on the reactant side of the full ionic equation. So we're looking here, we've got 3K2SO4. So draw a picture of what K2SO4 looks like. Don't worry about the 3 so much, because it's not really going to be depending, that's not going to really depend on anything. So we know SO4 is -2 and the K's are 1+. So these are 2 of the ions. Now the other one, CrCl3, and this would be negative, 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 and that makes a Cr3+. So that would be the ion, and that would be the ion. So we're just looking for one of each. So the answers here would be Cl1-, K+, I'm looking for SO4 2-, if I can find it. You've got to be careful here. Because I've got lots of different answers. Oh, there he is. SO4 2-, and Cr3+ is here. So those would be all the answers you'd put for that, and that should end up being correct. Anybody got any questions? You'll notice that it's not like K2, 2+, or anything like that, or even though I have got that as an answer here. And yeah, I'll admit it, I'm doing that to trick people up who don't know what they're doing, yes. Does anybody have any questions about 30? All right. Let's look at 28. This is the sum of the coefficients of the full ionic equation and the sum of the coefficients of the net ionic equation. You know, this isn't as bad a question as it appears. And we're not interested here in the charges on anything. We're just interested in how many of each there happens to be. So I'll show you how that goes, how we do that. So 2K2O plus 1PB C2H3O2 4. Those are aqueous. And we're getting PbO2 solid and 4K2, so say KC2H3O2, and that's aqueous as well. So the only things that split apart here are the things that are aqueous. The solid will stay the way that it is. Now, there's a couple of ways of doing this. What I would do is I would draw each thing out. Now, technically, I mean, if you were doing this and you actually want to write it out fully, then you would show the charges, but you actually don't have to really show the charges here, because all you're interested in is how many of each thing there are. There's 1 PB and then C2H3O2, 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 C2H3O2. The PbO2 stays as a solid, and then we got 4. Actually, let me do this the same way as I did the other one. 4, and then KC2H3O2. So if we count up all the particles here, we've got 6. Here we've got 5. Here we've got 1. And here we've got 8. Then add all those up, and we'll get 20. And so that would be your answer. Anybody got any questions? Nobody has any questions about that. I can't believe that.
I guess my only question would be, is there any way to shorten that process, or you just gotta kind of go through it like that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how you could shorten it. If anybody's got any ideas, I'm more than happy to hear them.
Well, you could just look at it and say like, hey, there's 2 times what. Well, I guess you could just read it out, but you can do it in your head. But this is more like, I guess like foiled out.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, look. I mean, look. I'll admit it. I've been doing this for a few years, so I can do it in my head. But you know, I expect that a lot of people have not really seen much of this before, so then they might have seen it in Intro to Chem, but not understood it. I'm hoping they understand it now.
I do have a quick question though. So we do not break up the solids.
That's correct.
And that's for the full ionic equation.
That's right, because solids don't dissolve. That's the whole point. That's why they're solids.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Mind you, that's a common error. That is a common error. People will break up the solid. Obviously.
So do we add together the coefficients of each of the elements in the ionic equation each step? Is that what it is, or is it just
Well,
at the end?
okay, let me be a little bit more circumspect about this. Okay, let me be a bit more clear. Oops, sorry. Yes. Hang on. Did I get this right? 2 times 3 is 6. No, that's right. 1, 5. Yeah, okay, all right. Hang on, sorry. Stop. There we go. Let's try this again. There we go, that's better. 4K plus 2O2 minus plus 1 PB4 plus 4 C2H3O2 minus PbO2 solid plus 4K plus 4 C2H3O2 minus. All right, so that's the full ionic equation there. 4, 2, 1, 4, 1, 4, and 4. All right, 4 plus 2 is 6, and 1 is 7, and 4 is 11, and 1 is 12, and 4 is 16, and 4 is 20. What I'm saying is, well, you don't really need to go down that road, but that's what you're doing.
Can you show it again? The where you wrote it out?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Where you wrote out the ionic equation, or is it already there, right on
That's
the
it.
top?
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
It's down the bottom. It's right here. I just did it. That's the full ionic equation down there. I mean, if you wrote it out, that's what it would be. So you've got 2 Ks in the box here, but there's 2 boxes. So there's 4 Ks, 2 O's.
My screen is zoomed in, so I couldn't see the entire page that you did.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? I mean, that's in essence what you're doing. Is I've just kind of shortcutted it a little bit for you, just to show you exactly what you're trying to do here. Is just figure out how many particles you have, individual particles. Any other questions about this? Okay. Let's look at the net ionic equation. Now, the net ionic equation is actually a little simpler. Because the net ionic equation is just going to be, well, let me see if I can get this other thing back. There we go. All right, if you wanted the net from this one, what you would do is you would look on each side and you would just cancel out anything that was exactly the same on each side. So that would be the Ks and the C2H3O2 minuses. So all of those would go. And the net would look like this. It would be PB4 plus O, 2 minus, how many 2? Gives PbO2 solid. So that's what the net would look like. Now the net is really just whatever's involved in making the solid. That's it. That's what's involved in making the solid. So if we have something like this one here, and we're looking for the net, then all we're interested in is what's making that solid. So it actually makes it fairly easy. If you know that the solid is Fe, move it over here a little bit, is Fe2SO43, and you're asking yourself, well, what's that look like? Well, it looks like that. Gee, I wonder what it would be made from. It would probably be made from 2 Fe's and 3 SO4s. 2, 3, 1, 6. Now the charges would be Fe3 plus and 2 minus, but actually that's not really even important. But that's how we get, that's the easy way of getting the net. Just look at the solid, see what makes up the solid, and then count up everything that's in the solid. You know what's on, you know what it needs to make it, and then just get the sum of coefficients from there. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. So everybody's fine with this, huh?
So basically, all we're doing is just like we're adding up how many coefficients only equal to making the solid. So basically, if it was like, say, the first example, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes. Yes, it would. That was, yeah. So PbO2, and you say, okay, what's that look like? PbO, PbOO, or you need Pb plus 2 O's. Gosh. Kinderspiel. Trials play. Easy, right? Any questions? 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4. Yeah. Any questions? All right. Yeah, go on.
In that section, because that's I mean, this is all stuff that's on the 6th quiz, right?
Yeah, that's right.
In that section, I think the stuff I struggled with most wasn't really the adding the coefficients, but it was more of like the when it asked you, like it gave you the beginning of the equation and then the compound, and it wanted you to like guess what the compound's charge was, or like stuff like that.
Oh, well, I mean, we're still going to do that. We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
All right, so let's take a look. There we go. So take a look at 27. Is it this one here you're sort of having trouble with? Where you have to figure out compounds A and B?
Yeah, that one, and then when you had to figure out the compound and the charge of it and everything afterwards, and like the subscripts.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'm not sure of those kinds of questions that you were mentioning in the second part. But you know, we'll go through whatever's on the test here, and then we'll see what relates. Okay. So let's say we've got, all right. Okay. So the formula for compound A, the formula for compound B. So the NaClO3, I think this might be what you're talking about, plus Fe2S3. So what I would do is, again, I'd draw out pictures of these, and the charges will be necessary here. The S's are -2 because they're in group 6, and that makes these ions 3+. So the two compounds we're getting would be Na+ and S2-. Move my camera here. Na+ and S2-, which would be Na2S. Whoops. And the other ones would be Fe3+ and ClO3-, which is going to be FeClO3. All right. Any questions about that?
So with a question like that, we're just like, consider the reaction. There's always going to be a reaction. That's not going to be the same thing on the other side.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and the reaction always involves this, well, it's a double displacement. So the cation of one joins with the anion of the other.
They just basically flip.
They do. It's kind of like two couples dancing and they switch partners. That makes it different. Now, I'm not even asking you to figure out which one's solid or anything else. That's not really important here. What I am asking you to do is figure out the formulas for those compounds.
Gotcha.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, I'm really surprised that nobody has any questions about this. Really shocked. So everybody must be really, really all okay with this, or you're so lost you don't even know what to ask. That's what I'm afraid of. All right. Okay, consider the acid-base reaction below. Now, an acid-base reaction, as you can see, gives water as a product, and you can see it there in the actual question as well. So we've got ZnOH2 and H3PO4. So what we do is we, again, draw out pictures of what these look like. So the OH minus and the H plus, those join together to give the water. And it's going to be the Zn2 plus and the phosphate that join together here. And that would be Zn3PO4 2 as the answer. Does anybody have any questions?
So basically, whenever you have a hydroxide ion and you have the other compound contains hydrogen, you should just assume, even if it, like in this question, I know it's given, but you should assume that water is going to form and then a different compound.
As long as the anion is OH minus and the cation is H plus, yes, then you know that water is going to form. But in these questions, I make it even easier because I actually could say specifically it's an acid-base reaction.
Okay.
So there's no trap here. All right, any other questions?
Hmm.
All right. All right, 25. Roland, I think you got a lot of background noise. I think I'd like you to mute, please. It might not be you, actually.
I don't think it's me.
No, now I think about it. I'll figure it out eventually. Yeah, I'll figure it out. Okay. Mustn't be you. Sorry, Roland.
It's all
All
good.
right. What is the sum of coefficients of this reaction after balancing? So this is a hydrocarbon balancing, but you'll notice you are given the products here. You didn't even have to remember those. Now, if you remember, I'd given you a little bit of a trick here with these kinds of problems. Because we know that sometimes you're going to have to multiply by 2 and sometimes you aren't. And what I had said was, you look at the number of hydrogens, which is always going to be even, by the way, but if you divide that by 2 and you get an odd number, which in this case we will, it's going to be 3, then I know at some point I'm going to have to end up multiplying this whole reaction by 2. Now, if this had come out to be even, then I wouldn't have to multiply by 2. So I already know straight off the bat what I'm expecting to have to do here. So C2H6 plus O2 gives CO2 plus H2O. So we put a 2 in front of the CCO2. We put a 3 in front of the H2O to give 6 hydrogens. And then we figure out the number of oxygens. We got 4 and 3 is 7. So that'd be 7 over 2 O2 over here because we've got 7 halves O2. And then multiply everything by 2. It'd be 2 C2H6 7O2 gives 4CO2 plus 6H2O. We can double check that. We've got 4 times 2 is 8 and 6 is 14. 7 times 2 is 14 on the oxygens. 2 times C2 is 4 Cs, 4 Cs, and 6 H's. Sorry,
Hey,
12 H's,
why would
12
the,
H's and 12 H's.
why would it be 7/2? My bad.
Why would it be 7/2? It's because you've got 7 oxygens on the product side.
Oh, okay.
Because it's 2 times 2 is 4 plus 3 is 7.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, 7 halves O2, let's look at what that would look like. I'll have to ask you to mute, Coloni, because I'm hearing a lot of... There we go, it's better. 7 halves O2, let's have a look at what that would look like. So that's like 3.5. Oops. Sorry. My pen is acting up here a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's 3.5 O2s. I mean, if you convert that to a real number, now what's that look like? Well, that'd be 3 O2s and half. And what do you know? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's like a miracle. There we go. But like I said, you can tell if you're going to have to do that last step. If you look at the number of hydrogens and you divide it by 2 and it comes out to be an odd number. Any questions?
Why do you put the 2 in front of the C2 at the bottom? Isn't it already balanced, the C2 and the 2CO2?
Well, but what about you don't want the halves anywhere, so you have to multiply the whole thing by 2 to get rid of that half in front of the O2.
Oh, okay.
Well, because whenever we have these reactions, we don't generally make them up so we have fractions in them. So that's the reason behind it. All right, any other questions?
So the sum
So
of
what's
this
the
would,
answer?
yeah.
Oh, what's the answer? 2 and 7 is 9, and 4 and 6 is 19. Yeah. 19. All right, any other questions?
So basically, if we're looking for the total coefficient, it's just only going to be the compounds basically with the reaction. And then if we're looking for, say, the full ionic, we have to split it up. And then the net ionic, we're just taking out everything that's not everything that's not a solid, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this one's just the total amount. It's just only the number in the front we're adding up.
It's everything, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But just the coefficients. Because that's
Just
what it's a sum of coefficients, right?
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, any other questions about the number 25? Okay, 24, this is just straight balancing. So for something like this, I think I'd leave the oxygen till last. And the reason for that is because O appears in lots of different places. So I would leave O again till the very end. So what I would do, I'd put a 2, let's see, CL, let's see. Yeah, I'd look at the CL first, I think. So I'd put a 4 in front of CL. That would balance the chlorines. The SNs are balanced, so now I'd look at the oxygens. And you can see here, if we do this, we've got O, and we've got 4 times 2 is 8. That'd be 9 oxygens. So we could take a similar approach to what we did in the previous problem. and we could multiply everything by 2 in order to make this work. So I mean, you could make that 9 over 202 just to follow the same lead, and then multiply everything by 2 at the end. And then you could balance everything out. You say, well, 2 times 1 oxygen, that is 2, plus 16, that's 18. So there's our 18 oxygens, 2 tins, and then 8 Cl. So everything would balance there. 2 and 8 and 2 and 9, that would be your answer. So 21. Any questions?
What's the answer again?
21.
Oh, okay.
2 and 8 and 2 and 9. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, David. All right. So as you can see, before you get to that part, you've got the periodic table and the polyatomic ion sheet. There we go. So that's all the stuff for Module 6 right there. Does anybody have any questions? That was the main thing I had wanted to go over today.
So you need an 80 on the practice test to unlock the credit, and then you need to score an 80 on the credit to get the full 5 points, or how does that
No,
work?
no. Actually, the credit quiz is just a single question. I think is Abraham Lincoln dead or something,
Oh, I got you.
something like that. And actually, I've got yes and no as being correct answers, so you can't even get that wrong.
You're really setting us up for success. I love it.
Well, I try. I try. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions?
Could you cover number 30 again?
Number 30. Let's go back to number 30. Well, let's re-roll. Let's re-roll. Number 30. Oh, it's the same one. Is it? No. Or is it? I'm just trying to think. It is. It's the same one. All right. Sometimes that's going to happen. I can't believe this. Why is it coming up with the same question? That is just bad luck right there. Pure bad luck. Let's try it again. There's a fair number of questions in the pool, so, it shouldn't really be giving me the same question all the time. See if it gives me the same one this time, I'm going to go out and buy a lottery ticket. Yeah, I think I might still go buy myself a lottery ticket. Why the heck is that coming up with the same question again and again? Sure shouldn't be. Why is that? No, I don't. This is not kosher. This is not kosher. Now
How many times have we re-rolled?
yeah, this is yeah, that's not, that shouldn't be happening. You know, it shouldn't be happening. It could just be the fact I'm using preview mode, because sometimes that might do it. Yeah, let's have a look. I'm just checking something here. Make sure I am getting random questions here. Yep. Yep. Mm. Okay. All right. Well, anyways, I'm not sure why it's not giving me more than one possibility here. So I can, let me see, try something different here. I could look in module 1-6 in the homework. I'll pull one up from there. I can't believe that. Now it's did exactly the same one. It just must love that problem. Must love that problem.
Well, randomizers, they sometimes
No,
they'll
they
still
aren't,
pick the same one over and over and over again
yeah,
because it is random.
they're just not that random, as it turns out. Yeah, this is a bit of a nightmare. I don't know. I'll try it one more time. Then I'll have to make something up. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to make something up. For some reason, it's just not. Preview mode just isn't working for me. All right. Let me see what's going on here. We've
I
got.
don't think you submitted the test. You probably closed out of it. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've got no clue as to why it's working out that way.
Well, it might just be going back to your original test because it left off where you stopped basically.
Maybe. Something's up. Anyways. Somebody's got something in chat here. Oh, okay. No worries. Thank you. Now, oh, sorry. We're looking at the, yeah, okay. Now let's balance this out here. B2, B6. All right. So we're interested in the ions, right? Okay, so we've got Fe, Br3, that'd be 3 Brs, Fe3 plus. We've got K2O, which is going to be 2 Ks and an O2 minus. And to be Fe3 plus, Br minus, K plus, and O2 minus. So yeah, it's just a matter of drawing them out and figuring out the charges on each of them, and you should be good to go with that. All right. Did anybody have any other questions? Any other questions? Any other questions about the test here? Okay. Any other test questions?
Could you cover number 32 on the test again?
Let's see. Sum of coefficients. I don't think I did this one. I think this one was different from what we came up with earlier. All right, X2CO3, 3. We're going to get an oxide plus CO2 as a product. The oxide is going to have, the X is going to have a 6+ charge, and the O is going to be 2-. That's because CO3 has a -2 charge. Now to balance this out, I've got 9 oxygens here. I've got 3 Cs, so I can put a 3 in front of CO2. That balances me out to 9 oxygens. We need 2 in front of the X though. And then we'd have to X2 CO3. Oh, sorry, hang on. Sorry. I think I might have done that wrong. We'll start this one again. Let me draw this out. See, this was a problem. I was thinking, oh, that's not where it's not right. Okay, so CO3 2-. So each of those must be 3+. So X isn't 6+, it's 3+. Now you see that I figured out I'd made a mistake by going a bit further and finding out that it wasn't going to work out for me. So let's try that again. So it's X2O3 plus CO2. And if I put a 3 in front of the C to balance it, then I will have my 9 oxygens, my 2 X's, and everything's balanced. So the answer comes out to be 5 for the sum of coefficients. Yeah, but the key is finding out that charge on the X first. And realizing it was it's X2CO3 3 and not XCO3 3. I didn't see it 2 in front. That was the problem. All right. Did anybody have any questions?
This isn't about what you covered today, but like I have a question about significant figures. So
Okay.
like say like for one of the questions, I think it's like converting like Celsius into Fahrenheit or Kelvin. When we like put the numbers into the formula, do we count those numbers as significant figures also? Or do we like consider?
No, it's all based on, let's see, I think there might even be here we go. Here's the temperature conversion here. It goes, because the formula involves counting numbers, then it just goes by number of places past the decimal. So if you've got 56 that has no places past the decimal, your answer is going to have no places past the decimal.
Okay, I see.
So just strictly that, because it's the formula, I think, is something like this. 9F minus 5C equals 160 or something like that. And I know that looks like multiplication, but those numbers are counting numbers. So it's not really 5C, it's C plus C plus C plus C plus C. So it's all addition, which means that it goes by number of places past the decimal.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Could you go over naming acids? Because that kind of confuses me.
Okay, let's see if we can. There'll be something here, I'm sure. See if I can find an acid question. There we go. So H3PO3, for example. So we look at the ion here, and it's phosphite. And since it ends in "ite," then it'd be phosphorus acid. Now I know it's not hydro because hydro only applies when the anion is like a single element, like a Cl or a Br or something like that, but not when it's a polyatomic ion. When it's a polyatomic ion, ite goes to us acid, and ate goes to ic acid. So phosphorus acid would be the answer. And if we were going back the other way, if we had chloric acid, chloric comes from chlorate. So it'd be H plus ClO3 minus, which would be HClO3. You'll notice it's not HCl, that'd be hydrochloric acid. You know, but you can't have two things with the same name. It'd be confusing.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yes. So are we allowed scrap paper on the test?
Yes,
Okay.
but no notes. It's a closed book test.
Understood.
You are allowed, but I need to see that. I need to see that scratch paper in the room scan.
Yeah, so it's like front back, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
The test is honor locked?
it is.
Okay.
The sample test isn't, but the real test is. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right. Well, we'll leave it there then. Good luck. And make sure you get that homework done by Sunday. And if you want the extra credit, you know, try and get that done by Sunday as well. All right. And we'll leave it at that. Okay. Have a good day. Bye.
You too, Professor.
Jackson, do you need anything from me?